Snow White and Rose Red. Snow White and Rose Red. Focus question. How is the bear different from the gnome, and how do these differences influence the events of the story? There was once a poor widow who lived with her two daughters. She called them Snow White and Rose Red because they were like the flowers that bloomed white and red on two rose bushes that grew from before their cottage. Both were good, amiable, and kind, but Snow White was more gentle, whereas Rose Red would run and jump about the meadows. The two sisters loved one another dearly. Often they ran deep into the forest and gathered wild berries, but no beast ever harmed them, even when they lay down in the moss and slept there all night. Winter evenings, when the snowflakes were falling, Mother would say, "Go, Snow White," and bolt the door. Then they sat on the hearth, and she would read out of a great book, while her daughters sat sewing. One night there came a knock on the door. "Perhaps it is some traveler who needs shelter," Mother said. So Rose Red hastened to open the door, expecting to see some poor man outside, but instead a great fat bear poked his brown head in. Rose Red shrieked and ran back, but the bear said, "Be not afraid, I will do you no harm, but I am half frozen and wish to come warm myself." "Poor bear!" Mother cried, and she bade her children let him lie by the fire. "The bear will not harm you," she reassured them. "He means well." Before he would enter, the bear bade the children come and knock the snow off his coat. So they fetched their brooms and swept them clean. He came in and played with the girls a while, when then went to sleep by the hearth. In the morning, the bear left in good spirits. He returned the next night and the night after and all winter long. As soon as spring returned and everything out of doors was green again, the bear one morning told Snow White and Rose Red that he must leave them. "Where are you going then, dear bear?" Mother asked. "Into the forest, where I am obliged to guard my treasures from the evil gnomes," he replied. He explained that the gnomes could not rise from their underground homes while the ground was frozen, but now that it had thawed, they would come up and steal all they could find. Mother was very sad at the departure of the bear. She opened the door so hesitatingly that when he pressed through, he left behind a piece of his hairy coat. Through the hole which was made in his coat, he fancied she saw the glittering of gold, but she was not quite certain of it. Some time afterward, Mother sent the girls into the wood to gather sticks, and while doing so, they came to a fallen tree which was lying across the path. Up in the stump they saw a gnome, the end of his beard fixed in the split of the tree. "Are you going to pass without offering your assistance?" demanded the gnome. The sisters took great pains to dislodge him, but his beard stayed caught. In the end, Rose Red pulled her shears from her pocket and snipped the offending clump. "Never cut my beard, you gaping geese," the gnome admonished. Then he lifted a sack of gold from the tree trunk, dragging it away. A few days later, Mother sent the girls out to buy a needle and thread. Along the way, a great eagle flew over their heads and deep down behind a boulder. They heard a piercing shriek. Running up, they saw the same gnome they had met before, caught it in the bird's talons. "Catch hold of his coat," cried Rose Red, and the two girls held the gnome fast till the bird gave up its struggle to carry him off. "Could you not hold me more gently? My coat is all torn and full of holes," the gnome complained. Then he heaved up a bag of precious stones that was tucked beneath the boulder and hauled it away. A week later, Snow White and Rose Red went fishing. As they neared the pond, they saw something like a great locust hopping about on the bank. They ran up and recognized their old acquaintance, the gnome. "Shift-brained girls," she shouted, "don't just stand there. Can't you see these fish will pull me in?" The girls saw the gnome's spear had not entangled with the fishing line, and so, when a great fish bit at the bait, the little fellow was not able to draw the fish out of the pond, and the fish had the best of the struggle. Rose Red tried to unwind the gnome's beard from the line, even as Snow White held him back from the water. I cannot untangle it, announced Rose Red, and taking her shears once again from her pocket, she snipped the swath of bread that was caught. You donkey! The gnome shouted, his face glowing red as copper with rage. Was it not enough to cut it once? But you must now take any the best part of the fine beard. I dare not show myself again now to my own people. The gnome flew as Rose Red began kicking her shins violently. When she dropped the shears, the gnome picked them up and pointed them at her. Rose Red shrieked in fear. In response, a loud roaring noise rose up from the tears, and a great brown bear came rolling out of the forest. The gnome jumped back, terrified, but he could not gain his retreat between the bear overtook him, placing a paw up on his back. Spare me, my dear Lord Bear, cried the gnome. I will give you all my treasures, only spare my life. For what have you to fear from a little weak fellow like me? The bear lifted his paw, and the gnome stood, the shears quivering in his hand. There are two wicked girls, he said. Take them. They would make nice morsels as juicy as young quails. The bear growled, showing his big teeth, quick as a viper. The gnome thrust the shears forward, aiming for the bear's eye. But the bear raised its paw so the blade plunged into the soft flesh there instead. With a thunderous roar, the bear gave the bad-hearted gnome a single blow, and he never stirred again. The girls turned to run away, but the bear called after them, Snow White and Rose Red, fear not. They turned back. Then the bear's rough coat suddenly fell off, and he stood up a tall man dressed entirely in gold. I'm a king, he said, and was commanded by the wicked gnome to wander about in these forests in the form of a bear, for I caught him stealing treasures from my castle. Before my own guards chased me off, I cared that what treasure I could into the woods, where I could look after it. Now that the gnome is dead, look and curse is broken. Red Rose embraced the king, thanking him for their lives. Snow White ripped some fabric from the hem of her dress, tying it around the king's rounded head. We must get you home to Mother, Snow White said. She'll take care of you. When the king was healed, he showed the family where he had hidden the rest of his treasure. Mother married the king and lived happily with her husband and two daughters for many years. As for the rose bushes, she took them from the cottage yard and planted them before the palace. Every year they bore beautiful roses, red and white.